Good morning, everyone. Hope everybody's doing good. We had a good weekend. We're posting clips, so we don't have to worry about that for the rest of our lifetime in this area.
We're here.
Not here.
Oh, we're working on the
California, I think, 20 years, so I'm not planning to travel over this year. All right, so we will take up agenda item number 2, discuss and take possible action on approval of personnel action forms.
Okay, the first one's a new hire at the Public Defender's Office to leave the Leesner. Increase in slot, Ernesto Alejandro. Joshua Lopez, Sheriff's Office, an increase in slot. Joshua Longoria, increase in slot, Sheriff's Office. Carlos Mas, increase in slot. Raimundo Pina, Sheriff's Office, increase in slot. Manuel Colon, same increase in slot. Earl Heath, we're moving him from full-time back to part-time. Ruby Gassin, this is not an increase, we're just changing, we're moving the TER supplement from her salary and adding, what are you doing on that? Add to the,
Just taking the supplement away from, as a supplement and getting it out of her regular salary.
Yeah.
Within her approved slot.
No increase, it's just moving.
I move that we approve the personal action forms. Personnel action forms.
I have a motion and a second to approve the personnel action forms. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 3, County Auditor Monthly Report.
Morning.
Good morning.
So we have the balances as of the beginning of April 2024. The graph shows us that we're right in line where we were at last year, excluding TANs and CO, which CO is completely done. And then we have a breakdown of each individual fund, which includes any investments and any cash flow statement. We have received through February tax revenue, so this includes January and February recorded. And then if you notice on Fund 95, there's going to be a $4.5 million in net with that middle column. That's just money coming in and then basically coming out. By now, that all those funds have been dispersed into the correct funds. The PDO, we're still at a negative, but it's not $500,000 because of that $400,000 in revenue that we got as a fund reserves from the 5 counties. That's helping us stay within $200,000 to $300,000 in the red. Other than that, if y'all have any questions, I can answer them for you. I didn't see any issues. Oh, that Fund 132 is what we created for the SB 22, and we have received those funds. So you'll see that $743,000 net in that middle column, and then our balance for that is $707. Until we had received those funds, that fund was running in the red, but we have received those funds now. And then no changes on the warrant schedule from last month to this month.
Item 4, discuss and take possible action on approval of the use of Chapter 59 funds to fund the supplements for commissary staff, with the understanding that the fund will be reimbursed through the commissary account.
So this is basically, y'all have already approved supplements from the Sheriff's Office forfeiture account. The only difference that we're doing is there's one employee who's receiving the supplement who works for the commissary, we're going to use the commissary funds to supplement that salary, that additional. Instead of pulling it from his regular forfeiture account, we want to use the commissary account to pay for that supplement. We just need y'all's approval to use the forfeiture funds, and then the commissary is going to reimburse the forfeiture fund.
And this is actually, I mean, we need to do it this way because we need to do it from the other fund, not the, you know.
Yes, we ran it through our county attorney, or Maggie, and that's how she suggested that we do it. We just need y'all's.
Ever came out of forfeiture on that, is that breaking it all together?
It can be, we can use forfeiture funds to pay for her salary, but since we have the commissary, we would rather use that now.
Good enough. I agree. I will make that motion. Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the use of Chapter 59 funds to fund the supplements for the commissary staff. The understanding the funds will be reimbursed from the commissary account. Any other discussion?
Just to let Justin know, on forfeiture funds, those are more or less Randy's funds. They don't have to bring that to the commissioner court.
Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 5, discuss and take possible action on approval of accounts payable.
Our total for accounts payable is $1,285,461.95. We don't have any wires going on this time, and everything over 10,000 is listed on the cover page.
Is the way station, is that the repair, like $8,900? Is that repair, the damage?
Yes.
And we got the insurance, that's insured or reimbursed for that, right?
I'm not
From
sure
that
if
company,
I believe we have received the funds, yes.
What damage did we have to the way station?
The truck hit it. It's been a while, but I think this is where they were repairing it. They had a extra wide load and it caught the handrail or something when they were going through the way station.
Is it the,
Your equipment.
it's the equipment
Okay.
for the paving, it's the equipment for the paving,
know that.
it's the maintenance work.
You're right.
That's 50K.
Okay.
J&A Garcia's, like a repair, is that a repair shop or body shop?
J.M. Garcia,
It said J&A,
which page are you looking at?
it's in sheriff's, and it's the same VIN number, it's got like almost $15,000 worth, it's 3 invoices, like the same VIN number, so I'm wondering if it's a body, or I just don't recognize that. J&M.
Let me see. Yes, that's Joe's Automotive Paint and Body.
Okay, all right, so it's a repair. All right, thank you.
And just to confirm on your question before, we did receive the insurance funds.
Okay, for the repair.
Yes.
I'll move that we approve the accounts payable accepting the 51, 53 funds, EA forfeiture, and sheriff's forfeiture on page 12.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the accounts payable with the exception of 51 fund for EA and 53 for SO. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
I need a statement on this.
Okay, so I have motion carries, one abstention. Item 6, discuss and take possible action on approval of disbursement of funds since the last Commissioners Court meeting.
These disbursements were for utilities and fuel paid on April 4th and April 10th, and totaling $73,020.06.
I'll move that we approve those disbursements.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the disbursements of funds since the last Commissioners Court meeting. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, with that, we will be in recess until 10 o'clock. All right, it is 10:01, and I'm going to call this meeting back to order at this time, regular Commissioners Court. First item we have is visitor and public comments, and at this time I'm going to ask Janet Zare to come forward with the Medina Valley Soil and Water Conservation District.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us today. Coming up at the end of April, from April 28th to May 5th, there is a National Stewardship Week where we address the importance of conservation of our natural resources throughout all areas of agriculture, from small areas to large areas. And at the Medina Valley Soil and Water Conservation District takes part in that, and throughout the year we have different activities that promote these natural resource conservation issues to help implement practices so that people are conserving our water, our soil, taking care of the health of our water and soil. And coming up Wednesday this week, we have a producer workshop where we're addressing these issues, everything from soil health to feral hog control, which affects soil health as well as the health of our water. And we have activities like this throughout the year, and we appreciate y'all's continued support of our district in the efforts that we make.
Thank you. So we do not have this as an agenda item today. However, if y'all don't mind, 'cause I know your group's here, we appreciate y'all. Something we do annually. We'll get a picture for y'all, and then we're going to call a special meeting for Friday just to vote so we can actually take action on the proclamation. So we'll do that, I think, 11 o'clock Friday morning. And
Okay.
you don't have to come back for it, but...
Okay, that's good because we're having a pond stocking sale on Friday.
Well, that came in handy. I think we'll get one of your pond stockers right away.
Oh, good, good.
He's been caught a lot of things, but I think that's the first time he's caught a pond stalker, so that's probably a good thing. But yes, if y'all like, come on up and we'll get a photo.
Yes.
Judge, can we move that podium?
I get it?
There you go.
Okay, two with her, one with hers and then with mine.
Okay.
Everybody smiling and looking at the camera, please. I said one, but it took me.
1 or 3. 1 or 3.
Well, sometimes one is
Gotta be
better
one.
than the others.
So we might lay us together.
Okay, same thing, please. Mine takes a little tiny video, so it takes about 2 seconds there. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you.
Yes, I appreciate y'all. Hey, Janet, will you be at the event Friday? Will you be able to, will y'all be on there?
Yes.
Okay, because I can probably send the signed document to the pond stocker.
Perfect. Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
That's funny.
Yeah. But then you never know what you're going to end up with. All right, next we'll take up agenda item number 8, discuss and take possible action on an order approving the Haiti Farms PID Improvement District's preliminary service and assessment plan, including a proposed assessment roll, directing the filing of the proposed assessment roll with the tax assessor collector, calling and directing mailing and publication of notice of the public hearing to consider and order levying assessments on property located within the Haiti Farms PID Improvement District and other matters in connection therewith. Mr. Medford.
Thank you, Clay Venture, representing the county as special counsel. Before I get started, I'm going to have to say, I think I'm going to add pond stalker to my repertoire of name calling. But anyway, today we're talking about, I know there's a mouthful in the agenda item, but we've been talking about these PIDs in general and different PIDs in particular for a number of years. And this is the Haiti Farms PID that is developed by Mr. Trey Marsh, being a county resident. He started this process back with the submission of a petition in 2022 for the creation of a public improvement district upon this piece of property, about 103 acres, to be improved in 3 separate improvement areas. Over the ensuing period of time after the submission of that petition, we had a public hearing concerning the viability and advisability of creating the public improvement district. That was acted upon, and we now have an existing public improvement district over this property. Now, as I've said before, that the creation of a PID is an empty vessel until you fill it with financing mechanism. And before we do that, we require that the developer put things in place in order to assure that the development is going to be of something of value and contributing to the development scope of the county in a way that would not happen organically. And so we memorialize that in the development agreement. And that includes things like wider streets and amenities for the facility and minimum standard of construction, that's square footage, site-based homes, maybe exterior construction material, to be mason, or something along that nature, minimum pricing for the homes that are going to be built in that area. And once we get all of that development, those standards memorialized, and the developer takes that and goes and completes their development plan, that includes the engineering, signing up contracts with home builders, gets everything ready in order to proceed. And then we go and we fill the vessel with the tool that's called an assessment, which means that you're going to impose, basically it acts like a tax, but it's different because it doesn't have the same constitutional protections of a tax. But the revenue from the imposition on the home will be the source of the repayment for a component of the developer's public improvement expenditures on that property. It can't be for private improvements, that is only for public. So this is, for this one in particular, it's streets, drainage, water and wastewater. So he has provided all of that to us, and now we're doing a little bit different on this one. It's similar to what we did for Woodlands, where this is actually what we call a bond finance bid instead of a pay-as-you-go bid. A pay-as-you-go bid is the developer puts all of the money up front himself, and then over time is reimbursed a percentage from the collection of the assessment revenues. This one, we take the assessment revenues and we actually pledge them as security for bonds, that the money then goes into a trust account and can only be used for the purpose of the public improvements for which those bonds are issued. So we guarantee that the money is there to build to a particular standard and scope, and then we use that money as the developer incurs the costs. The money is paid out of the trust to pay the subcontractors for the improvements to the ground. In order to complete this process, we have to approve what's called a preliminary service and assessment plan. That's this first agenda item today. That identifies the public improvements, the assessment roll, which are the projected homes that are going to be built in this initial improvement area, and how much per home is going to be assessed over time in order to pay their prorated portion of the public improvements. The total investment at this stage is going to be approximately $9 million. About $4 million comes from bond proceeds, and $5 million is committed developer contribution from his own resources. This is in addition to the $4 million that he's already spent out of pocket to acquire the property. So it is a significant investment within the county. In this first phase, I believe we're projecting 113 homes out of a total of 329 upon completion of the other two areas. The total amount of the assessment is projected to be about $38,000 per home, which is a tax rate equivalent of about 59 cents. That will be paid in installments over a 30-year period, so plus interest on the related bonds. So those $38,000 allocated to each lot, that would be divided by 30 and paid as part of the normal tax bills. On an annual basis, we take that revenue, we give it to a trustee, and then that is used to repay the bonds. So before we can do this, we have to go through this preliminary step. We won't know the final amount until we actually sell the bonds and we get the particular interest rate to finalize the plan. But this gives you the big picture concept. We will then, after today, assuming that you act favorably on this agenda item, it also establishes May 13th as a public hearing date. Anybody that's interested can come and talk about it at that time. We'll publish notice of this in the Hondo-Manville Herald, and we will send by mail to a notice of the property owner that is going to be currently impacted by this, which would be Mr. Marsh, as the owner of the property. So after we have that public hearing, we'll have the ability to actually approve the assessments and sell the related series of bonds. So again, this is another preliminary step, but we're getting very close to the conclusion of this. Commissioner Center, I know that this is always important to you. What is the value of the homes that is going to be within this development? Based on this initial plan, they're projecting homes of value between $550,000 and $600,000. So if you think about the progression of values within the county, that is significant value, 329 homes. The county will be imposing tax on that, not sharing that with anybody, so your tax rate will be delivered to the county at inception, as soon as homes are on the ground. So on Friday, I had about a 2.5-hour meeting with Commissioner Castiglione and Mr. Lopez, just to go over this, to say, hey, I know this is the first one in your precinct. I want you to have an opportunity to hear the explanation, what the documents do, how the pieces work together, ask any questions that you might have. So I don't know if you'd like to comment on any of that, but we have the development team here if anybody has any questions.
Yeah, it was a great meeting, and really had an opportunity to ask you a lot of questions. You know, and my question that I think if the citizens here will want to know is, how is this ultimately going to benefit the county and the people that are already living here? So.
It's a great question, and it's something that I think has been the priority of this court for the past 15 years, is how do you manage the growth in unincorporated areas where people essentially view them as suburban or urban because of their proximity to San Antonio. As I believe everybody on this court is painfully aware, the state legislature provides you very limited tools and opportunities to manage the type of growth in an unincorporated area. That's typically reserved to municipalities in general and home rule cities in particular. When a developer comes and asks for the creation of a PID, that is discretionary to this court. You do not have to do it, but by the request coming in, you have an opportunity to have the developer agree by contract to standards of development that law does not require them to do. And so the things that the county is able to impose on water and wastewater, wastewater treatment as opposed to septic tanks, higher value of the property on the ground, larger lot sizes relative to what is going on in the vicinity. Think about the property that's coming in right on the Bexar County, Medina County line. On Highway 90, those are all on the Bexar County side, governed by City of San Antonio and Bexar County building standards, which are more dense, lower value initial homes. So he is able to, we as a county are able to say, yes, we'll give you this incentive, but we would like these things in exchange. Wider streets so that school buses can get by when cars are parked street side. Bigger cul-de-sacs so that we know the fire trucks can make full circles in there so that they can service the homes. And it's not anything that you would expect people to do this on their own, but it doesn't always happen. But as a county, we can now assure that those new county residents are going to have the benefit of functional subdivisions. As from an economic perspective, the value of a neighborhood with $550,000 and $600,000 homes generates more tax revenue that can come into the general fund of the county and be dispersed across the county. One of the things that we've also applied to these is the concept that development pays for itself. So all of the roads and drainage that will be owned by the county, the homeowners association obligates itself to assume the maintenance responsibility for those public improvements. So when you're getting the money in from these developments, it really is able to then be dispersed across the county for the benefit of all citizens of Medina County and not just people within the geographic area. So I don't know if that answers your question, but the list of the benefits to the county in exchange for what you're getting is quite lengthy. The security for the obligation is completely limited to these assessment revenues that the people within the development obligate and agree to impose upon themselves and then pay it. So there's no liability for the county or general fund or taxes. It doesn't impact your credit rating. So a lot of benefits in exchange for setting this up and going through the administrative house. Yes, sir.
I don't want to oversimplify this, but just so I understand, this is going to be funded partially through some bond issuance.
Yes, sir.
Is the developer issuing these bonds? Is the county doing this?
The county's issuing the bonds. We'll talk about that with the next agenda item.
Okay, so I guess, again, not to oversimplify, but in the unique situation that these lots don't sell, and there is no assessment, and the homes aren't built, and who is paying back these bonds?
There is an assessment that is being imposed, and it is the responsibility of the landowner at the time of payment, and that is Mr. Marsh. If he does not sell lots, he is obligated to make the assessment payment himself, and that is what's used to pay the bonds. Now, in order to mitigate that risk that he is going to have to pay that, by the time we get to the sale of the bonds, the underwriters of those bonds require that he deliver some assurance of build, and that is reflected in lot sale contracts with builders that are of sufficient financial capability in order to accomplish this. And if they terminate the contract, they have hard-earned money that they would lose. So there is a pretty well-documented assurance that once bonds are sold, these lots will be delivered and sold to home builders. But it is ultimately his risk.
Gotcha. I just wanted to make sure that wasn't a county risk.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Good question.
I'll tell you one thing, I've been asked this ever since we started this, and this is 2015, was the first one we did, 2000, Franklin Ranch. Well, they're getting a free subdivision, just as, we're all paying for it, you're not paying for it. These people that Mr. Marsh had put up the subdivision, He's charging these people moving from California or wherever they're coming from. They pay for that infrastructure 100% themselves. The person across the fence, it don't cost them 1 red cent. That's been something really hard to get through to people through the county. It's not costing you nothing for us to have an upper scale subdivision, which, well, that's pretty nice houses, and that's what's selling. That's a hot market right now. Through this last budget, about 75 or 80, this last year, about 80% of our money that came in the county, that's where it came from. That's why we've got to keep this type of building up. It is paying, this building, paying for a jailhouse, just to name a few, plus another $8 or $10 billion worth of property we have going around the county. It's paying for, it's running the county. Petranco Road is running the county. And it's not going to stop.
No.
So, you know, the best thing we can do for our citizens is big. We don't have to work on the streets no more. With the massive houses that they got going in up there in that area, I think we're right about 15,500 in between that development and Petranco Road that has already came through the Commissioner's Court. That's just a rough number. And there's a whole bunch of their properties had not even sold yet. You can have somebody come in and do a bud, like 4 Star is doing evidently.
Let's get back on the...
Yeah, well, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly why we want to do a bid. So, you know, they don't have to hurt by all of our rules.
Right.
Other questions?
Great.
Thank you. I make the motion to approve an order approving a preliminary service and assessment plan and setting a public hearing for levying assessments on property within the Hayden Farms pit.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve an order approving a preliminary service and assessment plan and setting a public hearing for levying assessments on property within the Hayden Farms pit. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 9, discuss and take possible action on a resolution approving and authorizing distribution of the preliminary limited offering memorandum for the Medina County, Texas Special Assessment Revenue Bonds Series 2024 for the Hayden Farms Public Improvement District Improvement Area Number 1 project and other matters incident and related thereto.
Ladies and gentlemen, representing the county special counsel, this is the companion item to the item we just considered and approved, and this is the issuance of the bonds pursuant to a public offering document that will be utilized in the marketing and sale of those bonds. When you issue bonds in the public capital markets, you incur obligations under federal securities law. That document includes all information that could be material to a potential investor in those bonds. It is regulated by Securities and Exchange Commission rules, and it's something that we take very seriously, and you should have a copy of a very thick document that includes pretty much anything you can want to know about the county in general and the development and growth trends, and then this property specifically. It talks about the qualifications of the developer, the lot sale contracts behind these homes, the proposed assessments and the proposed assessed value. It is a very, very comprehensive document. This requires the governing body, the issuer of the bonds, approve the document before it gets publicly circulated for sale of the bonds. We will then, at the time that we sell the bonds, we will complete this document with final interest rates and principal amounts, and that will be included within the package when we sell bonds on May 13th. This is the request for the approval of this document so that the underwriters can start marketing the bonds to get those final interest rates and bring them back to approval.
Do we know at this point what the rating of the bonds would be?
They will be unrated. So this is interesting. If you look at this, this is a preliminary limited offering memorandum, as opposed to a document where you issue county debt, which would be called an official statement. The difference is that these bonds are limited to $100,000 denominations or $5,000 in increments above $100,000, whereas your bonds are $5,000 increments, and they can get in the hands of retail investors, we call retail investors moms and pops. The limited offering memorandum requires that they can only be sold to what are called institutional or accredited investors, which means they have to have a level of sophistication where they can perform their own due diligence. Because this is speculative, it is a real estate transaction, the rating on the bonds does not equate to value that someone would say this is of a credit quality that any retail investor can perform. It's why the underwriters that you choose are very important, because they have to have access to the institutional investors that know these types of deals and conduct their own research. So there is not a rating on these bonds. Now, the documents will include the opportunity that at some point in the future, once the property is matured and value is on the ground and the assessment is historical and predictable, that the bonds could get rated and then trade at $5,000 denominations, but not at this stage. It's a protectionist so that these bonds don't end up in the hands of people that don't understand what they're buying.
An unrated bond paying what percent?
The projection is, well, we have your financial advisor right here.
It's going to be likely in the 6.5% range. If the county borrow right now, it'd be 4.5%. So there's about a 200 basis point difference in interest rates.
Any other questions?
All I'm saying, that's why he's our lawyer, I'm the commissioner. In his work.
All right, I make the motion to approve a resolution approving the preliminary limited offering memorandum related to the Hayden Farms bid bonds.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to approve a resolution approving the preliminary limited offering memorandum related to Hayden Farms bid bonds. Any other discussion?
Yep. Well, like I say, he's just like my wife, she got to answer for everything.
That's not a discussion.
Right.
I'm not,
You got any other question you want to ask me?
well, there's 4 of us, and we're going to get into that discussion. Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Yes, sir.
See you soon.
Item number 10, discuss and take possible action on approval of the amended plat correcting the general number 11, the Atlantic Park subdivision, phase 1, located in precinct 2 off County Road 381. EGP. Come on forward.
This is the panel.
What was the new correction?
It was a phrasing, the phrasing confused both of the front easement and the side easements, so we just separated both of them. So the original note was just phrasing, it had incorrect phrasing, which is note number 11.
Okay, so note number 11 says a 10-foot utility easement is hereby dedicated along the front and rear property lines of all units in the subdivision. Is that the one we're talking about? In addition to those utility and drainage easements shown on the plat.
So another one that just added out the 10-foot.
And then, which part was incorrect? Because I didn't ever see what it was changed from.
The original was mixing both of the rear, the side and the front and rear. So it was
Oh, the 10 and the 5?
Correct. It was,
Okay.
it was mixing
Okay,
both.
so they're separated out now. So we got the 10-foot along the front and rear and 5-foot wide adjacent to all side lots.
Correct. That's what it shows.
Okay. Everybody see that?
That's that one up.
Any questions on it? I entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we, okay, the vacate replat lot 23, 24.
We're doing an amendment. We're amending number 10.
Number 10.
Yeah.
And then,
Okay, amended the corrected plat note on number 11, amended Park subdivision. Phase 1.
Second.
I have a a motion and a second to approve the amended plat correcting General Note 11 of the Medina Park subdivision Phase 1 located in Precinct 2. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 11, a public hearing to receive public comment regarding an application to vacate and replat plots 24 through 34 of Amanda Park subdivision Phase 1 located in Precinct 2 off of County Road 381. You want to give a little history on this one, please?
Yeah, on this one, those 24 through 34 lots, they extended all the way to the back of that dark line in the rear. Now we're creating an open space lot 904 in the back of all those 24 to 34 lots. That was the original compared to the original recorded plan, which is huge. It's almost like a beach, I believe.
So what was the difference before?
Before the property lines extended all the way to the rear,
Okay,
and now we're creating that open space. so
you're
it's-
creating open space right there.
And mine is between on the left side.
Correct. That's lot 904.
So it's a drainage easement,
Correct.
but it's also, but the drainage easement does not overlap with the gas, electric, telephone
No,
easement.
No.
Okay, so they're separate.
correct. So originally, it was just a drainage easement. We just decided to do
Okay.
it open space just to keep it completely separate.
Okay, so you're just modifying these lots to create an open space
Correct.
right there. Okay.
Any other questions on that one?
No.
Okay, we'll receive the public comment.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing on this at 10:29. 10:29, is there anybody here from the public that would like to make comments on that? No? Okay, then we will close the public hearing and move to item 12. Item 12, discuss and take possible action on approval of a replat of lots 24 through 34 and establish lots 24A through 34A of Amanda Park subdivision Phase 1 located in Precinct 2 off of County Road 381. You've heard the presentation. Any other questions on it? If not, I'll entertain a motion on it.
I'll make a motion to approve lots 24 and 34, establish 24A and 34 in Amanda Park subdivision.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the replat of lots 24 through 34 and establish lots 24A through 34A of the Amanda Park subdivision Phase 1 located in Precinct 2. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Agenda item 13, discuss and take possible action on approval of the replat of lots 209 and 210 Dancing Bear Ranch subdivision, Unit 3, into a new single lot 209A located in Precinct 1 on private road 1770.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is a replat of lots 209 and 210. We are wanting to go from 2 lots into 1, a large 7.2 acre lot. We're just here for final.
Making a lot bigger
Go for
instead
it.
of small.
Motion.
Any questions? Okay.
Make
So,
it bigger.
I make a motion to approve the revision of the plat of lots 209 and 210 in the Dancing Bear Ranch subdivision Unit 3 into a new single lot 209A Dancing Bear Ranch subdivision Unit 3 located in Precinct 1 on private road 1770.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the replat of lots 209 and 210 Dancing Bear Ranch subdivision Unit 3 into a new single lot 209A located in Precinct 1. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. All opposed, same sign. Thank you. Item number 14, discuss and take possible action to authorize the grant of a preservation easement to the Texas Historical Commission if awarded the Texas Historical Commission Courthouse Preservation Grant. I think you all have some background on this. So this is, we did get our initial application in Friday a week ago. So that's in process from McKinn Street. The final one, I believe, is, I remember, May 13th for some reason comes to mind when the final application has to be in. One of the items on that application is the approval of or consideration of a preservation easement on the courthouse property with options of 25 years, 50 years, or perpetuity. In researching this and the help of Maggie and kind of looking over an example of the documents, this is, in my opinion, it's like we're putting another person at this table with us when it's time to make decisions about the courthouse. And that includes, working with them to, if you want to add walls, you want to do anything to change it, that they're part of that process that says we're going to just to keep everything consistent and with the spend their money and their investment to get it up to a standard, and that would be our baseline of basically once it's restored, this is where you hold it. I did call and talk to 4 other county judges that have had this done, and I know all of these judges. In 07, DeWitt County, Judge Fowler, they had it done there. So I was looking for people that had this for 10 years or more, so we have a history of, okay, what's it like dealing with the commission after the fact? Is it an issue? And so Judge Fowler said they had no problems. They've come back and put like security cameras in and didn't have any issues with it. He said they had a bad basement that was getting water into it, and of course they just worked with them on it, and they brought in architects that helped them through the process with the water infiltration. Theirs is in perpetuity at DeWitt. Atascosa County, theirs was a 20-year that expired in 23. The only comment I had from them is they actually waited until after it expired last year so they could put aluminum clad windows in their building because it was cheaper, which is why they want a preservation, so you don't do this, so you keep it. Comal County, Judge Krause, theirs is in perpetuity. They did theirs in 2013. He said other than adding a little bit of time to the process, because you get them included in the front, so they had some plaques and things they wanted to add at the ground, and he said, so, added a couple of weeks into the process of doing that, but no issues doing it. And then last, I talked to the Judge Evans at Jeff Davis County. Theirs was also done in 03. Theirs was also done in perpetuity, so 3 out of the 4 were perpetuity. And again, Judge Evans reported the same, that no real issues with it. It's just the main thing is if you get ready to do anything with the building, that you call them and you have a discussion about here's the plan and here's what we would like to do. And that includes putting tenants into the building, because a tenant that's not would be a historical part of what government does inside of a courthouse. They wouldn't want that person taking over. You wouldn't want your courthouse to become something that's not what its intended uses were for. So that is the report on it. It's obviously a points basis for this, max points, but my personal opinion is I don't think points isn't what should decide this. It's like what's the best for the facility and what's best for us. But my personal opinion of it after considering is that I would be in favor of doing perpetuity on it. I feel that we're going to make a very big investment in the property, and I would like to think that 50 or 100 years from now that somebody would enjoy the building in the same condition that we enjoy it today, the way it sits there, and that it's been maintained and kept to the standard. There's only 254 of them in the state of Texas, and to me, it's important that we have them. So,
Could we ask Judge Evans if we can have the statue of Jeff Davis down there in our courthouse? Do you know they may take it down?
yeah, well, they definitely wouldn't be putting that up on ours, so, no, it's pretty much, wouldn't be adding anything.
That's like I say.
Any take discussion or agenda or action item, you can do whatever. So again, options are none, or 25 years, 50 years, or perpetuity. Those are what our options.
I'm just going to say one thing before the motion is made. Perpetuity is a very long time. And I've been involved in some situations outside the county where decisions were made for that kind of decision. And 50 years later, with multiple different generations having passed, the group is looking at doing something that they're prohibited from doing because of a decision made long ago. And we're looking at each other going, wow, that was 50 years ago, and we've got a completely different mindset now. I'm just trying to be thinking of the future, and yes, we want to preserve the courthouse, and I don't see anything that we in our generation that we would have a problem with, but I just hate to prohibit somebody 50, 75 years from now from doing what they think is best, when we're all long gone because of the decision we're making here today. And I can't think of a scenario where they would want to do something different, but that's...
Well, I thought about that part long and hard. I've had probably, Maggie and I probably been working on it at least 2 weeks, at least a couple, maybe 2 or 3 weeks that we've been working on it. And I guess what I go back to is I look at it how it is today, and since the 1800s, its intended use. I mean, we're sitting here all these years later.
Not wanting to serve the courthouse.
Correct, and enjoying it because it is a part of our history, and so I reflect back on all that, and I can't imagine that we'd be sitting here wanting to do something different. Now, I mean, there could be catastrophic loss, and things would change at that point. But that's something where, again, it's not like it's all their decision. It's just one more piece in it that it brings another piece to the party.
Well, the thing is, another part of that, us sitting here, say, for 25 or 50 years, that'll guarantee us somebody ain't gonna paint it pink.
This is true.
This is a little bit different than, I know some families right now are going through some of this thing, perpetual charity or property that their grandparents set up. They're not gonna have to live for another 25 years. That's a little bit different story than a county courthouse that is more or less a foundation. I would like to see that thing. And what was your thought, 25, 50, or what is your thought?
My personal is perpetuity on it because to protect it. I mean, it's been 1800s now, and
I have to agree with you.
I mean, mine was going back to these judges to see. I mean, if it's a nightmare dealing with the commission after the fact, that's what wanted to know, and it's not. I mean, it's basically yes, keep using it. You must maintain it, which we had the rock break not long ago. We didn't go stick a different colored brick in it. We went back and found the custom rock and put it back in.
That's what was thought, exactly.
Correct. And so.
And I'm for that.
So your analogy of the fifth person sitting here at the court, is that a good analogy, or does this fifth person have veto power to say, I don't care what the rest of you four say?
So, I don't, again, in talking to these judges, that has not been the case. They've come, they have an idea, this is what we do, and I'll tell you more than anything, which some of that probably got lost over the years, because, I mean, we did a bunch of work inside the courthouse that shouldn't have been done. Bottom line is, you should, but this just absolutely, it's go through them right away, here's the plan, here's what we want to do, and get them involved in it. So, and after the fact, if you do something in advance and then after the fact, then I think you have a potential problem. It's like but it takes all the gray out of it. It's like, no, we talk to them on anything we're going to do up front, and that's
ultimately, if we don't, then they have the ability to ask for the money back.
They could say, well, then send us our $10 million back that we spent in your courthouse. That you quit taking care of it, or you quit maintaining it, and so.
So that would be that.
And for me, I mean, that's are we forcing the future people to maintain it? Yes. But you know what, I'm okay with that on that building because, at least in my opinion, of all the buildings in the county, that if the last one I'm going to give up maintaining is that one that's from the 1800s.
Okay, so.
They can choose not to maintain it, but it's going to cost them $10 million possibly.
Potentially, absolutely.
What's the difference between the perpetuity and the 50 years? I mean,
20-10-5, is that what I remember? 20 points, 10 points, 5 points. Is that
Oh, in terms of the actual.
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking?
what is it gonna hurt us by limiting?
You don't know that except what you're up against if you miss the grant by 5 points.
Okay.
There's no way to put that in there other than, and like I said, at the end of the day though, I felt like the points were totally immaterial to the way that you should feel about what we should do, because we shouldn't be doing something just to get points. And I'm not in favor of perpetuity to get the points. I think it's about the building, the future, what we have, and make a decision from that. So,
But to specifically answer Commissioner Castiglione's question, if you're saying in the grant application that you're not going to do an easement, of course, that's 0 points. 25 years, you're given 8 points. 50 years is 14 points. And the perpetual easement is 20 points.
so 8, 14, 20.
So my thing is, I kind of agree with David. I'm at that point where I'm like, if we do 25 years or we do 50 years, you potentially going to have people sitting up here that have a completely different mindset on what they want the courthouse to be like. And with us putting it, say, at 50 years, for the next 50, that's a long time. For the next 50 years, this courthouse is going to be preserved. But it gives the court 50 years from now the option of making that decision. Do we want to enter into another grant, or do we want to take it in a different direction? I don't want to tie people down forever, but 50 years is a long time.
Sure.
Look, you're not really talking about $10 million. You can do what you want to with it. In 50 years or 25 years, $10 million, what's it going to be worth today? Yeah, that's they're not locked into it like on some land deals. I know what's going on right now. It is what it is. They can't do nothing. I know I've worked with 2 people on it. They can't do nothing with it. This here, pay back $10 million, you're free to go. It's not like that on the deal long term. So I'm gonna have to agree with the judge on this one. I'd like to look back, just like these subdivisions we're putting in, and I'll talk to you about that. In 20 years, I was part of putting that subdivision in. And I'm gonna make my kid be proud of it. That's, something, the way I'm looking at it. In 25, 50 years from now, my grandkids come by here, my grandpa helped save that building, and that's why it is like it is today. It don't have a dome over it, it ain't painted purple, it ain't missing bricks and stuff on it. That's what I see for the future. That's why you have built antique houses, I have refurbished antique houses. Why do we do that? Preserve
Preserve
our heritage.
Yeah.
So I have to agree with the judge on this.
And I'm not going to have a part over it either way. This is a really good discussion, and it is a big decision, right? I mean, it's part of the.
If for $10 million, you get out.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys write him a check back and go on down the road.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening.
I'll tell you, so they will.
But I'm open to what you all want to do. I've done the research. We got enough. We definitely have opinions on the table. So.
I would tend to agree with you and Larry, and I think it's our responsibility to protect it. And there are only 254 of them, so.
Well, Judge, looks like you're gonna get the vote this go around.
Well, I'll entertain a motion. Somebody
I'm gonna make a motion to take care of it.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. I have a motion and a second to authorize the grant of a preservation easement to the Texas Historical Commission if awarded the THC courthouse preservation grant. Any other discussion? I would add to this, just because it's in this motion, is that this is only if we get the grant awarded. The previous court, whatever that's been 18 years ago, did agree to a preservation easement. We don't know how long it was because it was never executed. We can't find that anywhere. Jennifer tried. But anyway, just another side note that we did that research, and but this would only be if we receive the funding on the courthouse. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Aye.
That's a good thing. We are not going to rubber stamp it for.
No, and I mean, I truly appreciate the thought y'all given this. You know, I tried to send some information out to y'all ahead of time, so you have time to think about it, because it's, you know, I appreciate that y'all all thought about it and that you all have your opinion of it very much. So, I'm gonna vote for the perpetuity on it. So the motion will carry for 3 to 2.
And I don't lose you for that.
No. Well, then I would have the other way. That's what's interesting about it. So, all right.
They go and tell you how to do it, we'll come on tomorrow. So we have 2 commissioners who voted to clean up first thing. That's what's going on. When he puts the paper, that's what's going on.
Okay, item number 4, discuss and take possible action on the following Texas Individual Defense Commissioner grant resolutions. The first one is TIBC Improvement Grant Program. This is for our Public Defender's Office, Hill Country Regional Public Defender's Office. A is for $2.513329, so $2,513,329. And with that, there is a match from the 5 counties of $1,256,664. And the second one is actually a new grant that PEOs applied for this year, and is the Indigent Defense Improvement Grant Program for Mental Health. I know the court's aware we've been working for the last 8 or so months trying to do more on mental health, and PEOs actually stepped up to help with this as well. So that is in the amount of $309,850, with the 5 counties providing $77,462 in a match.
You remember what the percentage of Union County's match is within the 5 counties?
30%?
We're 30%?
I think that sounds right. That sounds
Are we the biggest?
Us and Kerr.
Yeah,
Kerr right there.
Okay, we're close to the same.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Texas Indigent Defense Commissioner grant resolutions A and B. Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the Texas Indigent Defense Commissioner grant resolutions, A being the TIDC Improvement Grant Program, and B being the Indigent Defense Improvement Grant Program. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 16, discuss and take possible action on approval of Department of State Health Services Grant Agreement, contract number HHS 001-439-50026 under the Center for Health and Emergency Preparedness and Response Grant Program for the Health Unit. This is their grant for PHEP in the amount of $103,507 for their, what will be fiscal year 24-25.
To add to that, this is the hazardous grant. There is a $10,000 counter match.
Oh, ours, okay, 10,000, yeah. We've had this one for many moons.
We budget for that 10,000?
Yes. Yeah, we've granted that grant for a long time now, for sure.
I'm going to make a motion that we approve the Department of State Health Services grant agreement contract number HHS 001-439-50026.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the Department of State Health Services Grant, contract number HHS 001-14395-00026 under the Center for Health Emergency Preparedness and Response Grant Program. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 17, discuss and take possible action on acceptance of resignation of Jason Birdie from Emergency Service District Number 1. Y'all have that in your packet, and but we do need to just have an action item for that resignation, please.
I will make a motion that we accept the resignation of Jason Birdie from Emergency Municipal District Number 1.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the resignation of Jason Birdie from ESD Number 1. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 18, discuss and take possible action to appoint a new board member to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of Jason Birdie from Emergency Service District Number 1. I think in your packet we provided the applicants for that.
With knowing most of all these on here and the background, I will make a motion that we accept Mr. Haley.
Mr. Leroy Havey Jr.
What was the name, please?
Leroy Havey Jr. I will second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to appoint Leroy Haley Jr. to fill the vacancy created by resignation of Jason Birdie at ESD Number 1. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 19, discuss and take possible action on rescheduling or canceling the May 27th, 2024 regular scheduled Commissioners Court meeting. That is Memorial Day. I don't think y'all want to come to Memorial Day. We could leave, my suggestion is for now, if y'all just take action to cancel it, and maybe as we get closer to the one before, which we're still a month away, we can kind of see what things look like and decide if we need to schedule one. Would be my suggestion.
That sounds like a good idea.
And we may even, we'll still be working, so we may even, maybe that following week, we could schedule another one of our workshops or something, so cancel May 27th.
So I'll make a motion to cancel the May 27th, 2024 regular scheduled Commissioners Court.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to cancel the May 27th, 2024 regular scheduled Commissioners Court meeting. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 20, court announcements.
We're starting to get into the summertime, so usually when the temperatures start warming up, that's when you start seeing more activity out on the roadways with the road crews. We did, in Precinct 1, last week, did some fog seals on some of the roads south of Condo. Those were 543, 544, 545, 548. This fog seal is something very specific. When you have a seal coat that is getting old and the rocks start shelling off, those rocks that are shelled off can expose the base and create potholes. Fog seals actually pull the rocks back down, and it preserves that roadway for a good 2 to 4 years. Actually invited Commissioner Lawler out there to see what it looks like. So it's a really good product, and instead of paying $30,000 a mile to put another seal coat on top of it, you can spend about $3,000 a mile. at least another couple of years. Did that, we've been working on shredding. I know some of the grass is high. We are avoiding areas that still have the wildflowers. And then we prepped a lot of our paving equipment this past week in preparation, because I think all of the precincts are going to be getting ready to use all that paving equipment. So that's what we've been working on.
Good enough. Is it, other than the regular normal stuff we've got going on and getting rain out, thank God we had 2 inches of rain, I get 3 or 4 roads this morning for David. I got a list this morning, the last 5 days, 26 of our signs through our precinct, I don't know how far they went into the precinct, were stolen, vandalized, or totally destroyed. You know, in our normal, we don't have normal 2 or 3 a month. We've got 26 in 5 days. Stop signs, curb signs, they look like they're really like speed signs. The delineators we put up around sharp turns, they sold every one of them. Every one of them that I had out on county roads that they could find. You know, and it's not the cost of this. This is probably 26 signs at 50, 60 bucks a sign, $1,200, $1,400, $1,500. This is going to take 2 men probably a good part of a month to get all this stuff put back. The signs that we had in concrete, they run over. They're flat. They're backed up flat and over. So there's really no way we can put up stuff like this. And all I can tell my other commissioners, if this comes into your thing, make sure you get this on precinct, your precinct, or however you take care of your stuff. But if there is an accident, they're going to be coming after us. How come the sign wasn't up there? Well, this same sign, I got some of them get knocked down every month or stolen. We have found piles of signs in people's backyard. They don't go nowhere. We don't know what's going back there. You know, we find the posts that they ran over or stole, they're using them for bar ditches. I'm talking about 2 and 3 and 5 for drainage ditches. We just see nobody stealing. We can't prove that's the answer we get on our end. So, like I said, this is real money to the taxpayers. And time consuming for me. It's just something that we have to deal with. And it seems like whenever school's up, it just multiplies. So anyhow, that's all I got.
Precinct 3 is good, and yes, all of us have to deal with what you're talking about there, yes, it's frustrating. Been picking up a lot of down trees down in the Italian area of our precinct. I don't know why we didn't have that when we did everywhere else, but in that one spot, and Danny's been good about sending these guys over to give us a hand to clear the roads and get all the debris picked up from the last rain that we got. But otherwise, we're doing good.
Precinct 4, shredding and road maintenance.
Okay, just a couple of things, updates. Our Alamo area MPO that we're working on, there is forward movement on that. The Kendall County finally got their resolution into the group. It looks like their plan was it was supposed to be at the beginning of April, kind of discussing how that was going to go, and then they were going to hopefully take it to the full transportation policy board in May or June. So I'm still hopeful that, you know, July timeframe or so that this will all be done, but it is progressing along. It was being held up because they were waiting on Kendall to come forward with theirs. So next thing, just quickly, just want to say thank you to. There was a whole lot of planning that went into on the public safety side, on the eclipse planning, and all of the different services, law enforcement, fire, EMS, public works, all of y'all people. A lot went on. There were a lot of meetings held. You know, there wasn't as many people as what we thought could be here. Of course, part of that could be contributed just to the weather that day. I think a lot of people stayed home, but you know, even with that, traffic was pretty interesting there that afternoon, and then the next day as well, when people were, the second wave, when they were all leaving on Highway 90. But really just wanted to say how much I appreciate all of the groups that worked really, really hard on doing what they did. I mean, I have no doubt that we were organized and ready to go whatever was going to face us. So, and it was those are always a good training exercise for the unexpected things that can happen. So this week also, kind of in that same vein, National Telecommunicators Week is this week. So all of our 911 dispatchers, I've been around probably pretty much every job in this county over the last 12 or 13 years. And I will tell you that there's probably not one single job more stressful than what it takes to be a 911 operator. It is, I don't know, I really do not know how they do it. It's the most multitasking, and of course, for the most part, everybody calling in there is a stressful situation for the person on the other end of the line. So if you get a chance to tell a dispatcher thank you for what they do, I'm sure it would mean a lot to them. Also, we had in our TAC insurance, just an FYI for y'all, we had a change in our deductibles for our wind and hail that'll be going in for next year. We had a $25,000 deductible. It is going to a $100,000 deductible because of all of the claims and the perils and the stuff we've had. And of course, just across the state, they're getting more and more hail claims. So that's a problem. And our all other was $5,000 deductibles on all other perils. That's going to the $25,000. And we generally have average one of those claims, the $25,000 claims a year. It was a $5,000 deductible, and none of those claims are ever over. I think the highest one was $18,000. So Edward and I have talked already when we get ready for budget season. It's $125,000 of budget item right off the bat that's got to be insured. Yeah, right. Well, and yeah, a lot of other things. I mean, things we just need to look at are what we do to offset this going forward. Different actions we can take. So we'll be looking at all that. I just want to make you all aware of it. Subdivision rules and regulations. We're going to have our next workshop on 2 weeks from now, the 29th, and we're going to post that one to have it just immediately following Commissioner's Court. So if it's a short meeting, we'll go ahead and get started on it. And if we need to come back after lunch or if we get it all done, try to get you all through it. So I believe that's all of my announcements.
Good enough.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate y'all all being here.
Jennifer, thank you again for this.
For what? Oh.